Welcome, Climate Viewers. This is Jim Lee from ClimateViewer News at ClimateViewer.com. And welcome to another Tuesday Newsday, where we talk about warm, fuzzy things like extinction. Today, we're going to focus on a particular article instead of going through a myriad of articles. What's up, Fallout Shelter in chat? That's my homeboy. Check out Fallout Shelter on YouTube. I usually on Tuesdays cover multiple articles, but this one is just, it's so damn, I don't even know how to say it other than clickbaity title. And it's right to the heart of what we've been talking about on ClimateViewer, ClimateViewer News, ClimateViewer.com, about climate change and what's really the problem. Because everybody, wants to scare you. And they want to control you. So exactly why are they doing this? And why is CO2 such a big damn deal? Let me know in the comments. Challenge to everybody. What do you think the most likely cause of an extinction event on this planet will be? And I will bet my left testicle nobody's answer will be CO2. Nobody will answer carbon dioxide. Nonetheless, we're going to talk about climate change, climate engineering or geoengineering, artificial intelligence, and a whole bunch of other possible things that I think are much scarier and much more likely to occur than this news topic we're about to cover. This video brought to you by EXPRESSVPN. If you do want to protect your privacy from all the technocrats and Silicon Mafia, basically monitoring this live broadcast, which will be mirrored across the interwebs, get EXPRESSVPN. Use my code, expressvpn.com/climateviewer. Get 3 months off a year. It's the best, it's the fastest, it's the most secure. It's so hated in China that both Apple and Google decided to take it off of their app market to appease the Chinese Communist government. So the damn thing works. Get your EXPRESSVPN, expressvpn.com/climateviewer. And of course, for all of my things, go to connect.climateviewer.com and connect to my BitChute, my Rumble, my Odyssey, everywhere else I post stuff, and hit that subscribe button, please. Right now, if you haven't done it and you're watching this, then you owe it to me. I mean, I'm hurting over here. Story of the day from BBC News 1 day ago. Climate change. More studies needed on possibility of human extinction. Bruh. 52 minutes in and I'm just joining in. Dude, it's only been 3 minutes and 50 seconds. You haven't missed anything, No Baloney Mahoney. Love the name. Let's bring that chat up. Beautiful chat. We love you. Mean it. Glad you're here. The title pretty much says it all. This is the thinking. Yes, I'm doing a late night. Better late than never, right? This is the thinking behind these technocrats and these, climate alarmists. More studies needed on possibility of human extinction. Okay. Catastrophic climate change outcomes, including human extinction, are not being taken seriously enough by scientists, a new study says. Wait a minute. So the studies by scientists who are saying other scientists aren't taking catastrophic climate change seriously enough to study the possibility of human extinction as a result of climate change? All right. The authors say the consequences of more extreme warming still on the cards if no action is taken are dangerously underexplored. Why? Okay. They argue the world needs to start preparing for the possibility of what they term as climate endgame. The climate's gonna turn the frogs gay. Anyway, this is just, I mean, it's outrageously ignorant. We'll just go to the study. Let's just go to the study. Am I not clicked on this? All right, here we go. Climate Endgame, exploring catastrophic climate change scenarios. I could read you the BBC piece. Links are in the details. You can go read it yourself. If you want to read, some far leftist New Green Deal agenda fear porn, you can go read that. I'm more interested in what the scientists have to say than some reporter from the BBC's take on what they said, aka hearsay with bias implied. So let's just get to this. How bad could climate change get? As early as 1988, the landmark Toronto Conference Declaration described the ultimate consequences of climate change as potentially second only to a global nuclear war. That's pretty bad. And we all agree on that. Despite such proclamations decades ago, climate catastrophe is relatively understudied and poorly understood. Well, that's interesting. I wonder why. We'll get to that in this video. The potential for catastrophic impacts depends on the magnitude and the rate of climate change, the damage inflicted on Earth and human systems, and the vulnerability and response to those affected systems. The extremes of these areas, such as high temperature rise and cascading impacts, are under-examined. As noted in the IPCC, there have been few quantitative estimates of global aggregate impacts from warming of 3 degrees Celsius or above. Now that should be a red flag for you. There's been like 6 freaking IPCC reports, Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, and they focus mainly on 1.5 to 2 degrees Celsius. 3 degrees Celsius or higher, this is pretty much not even mentioned, okay? They're saying so in this article, okay? Text mining of the IPCC report similarly found that coverage of temperature rises of 3 degrees Celsius or higher is underrepresented relative to their likelihood. Who's saying this is likely? Anyway, text mining analysis also suggests that over the time coverage of IPCC reports has shifted towards temperature rise of 2 degrees Celsius and below. Reference. Research has focused on the impacts of 1.5 degrees Celsius and 2 degrees Celsius, and studies of how climate impacts could cascade or trigger larger crises are sparse. One Yankee says, "We're all gonna die. We're all gonna die because of them CO2s." It's just, I mean, I would cry if I would. I'd rather laugh than cry. Okay, at this point, let's just be real, chat. I'd rather laugh than cry. Okay, so here you have some scientists bitching about other scientists who study this, global warming phenomena, and they're basically saying, look, what about back in 1988 when they said it could be just as bad as global thermonuclear war, but we're only focusing on 1.5 to 2 degrees Celsius. What about 3? Hell, I'm gonna put it out there. What about 5? I mean, is it possible? When is it possible? The thing is that I keep going back to is, and I want you, if you take nothing away from this video other than this, what is likely to occur in the next decade? What could happen in the next year? What could happen in the next 100 years? I think we have time to deal with that. But in the next year, in the next decade, little bit closer to home. There is no possibility under any circumstance whatsoever that global warming in the next decade will cause a tipping point that will lead to the end of humanity. Period, point blank. I will argue, I will debate any scientist on the planet on this topic, and I will readily read that ask cheek. So why all the fear porn when there are much bigger fish to fry? What fish are you talking about, Jim? I don't know. Maybe, just possibly, some of them. So I put together a short list. Zero effort was put into this list of things that I think could kill us faster than climate change. Tomorrow, I'm talking tomorrow, a coronal mass ejection or high altitude electromagnetic pulse could kill everybody on the planet. Tomorrow. Has anything been done about this? No. How long have we known about this? A long damn time. There was the Carrington event. It was a very large coronal mass ejection. If you don't know what a CME is, it's when the sun burps or farts and a whole bunch of electricity hits our planet. It causes, aurora. The aurora borealis would be showing up over Florida. And in today's technological world, it would fry every single power system on the planet. We would not have power for months, if not years. And, wait for it, the worst part, if we had a coronal mass ejection or a high altitude electromagnetic pulse, in order to do that, you just set off the acronym HEMP is not for that stuff you be smoking on, okay? It is for high altitude electromagnetic pulse. This is when you set off a nuclear bomb, not on the ground, but up in space. When you fire off a nuke high in the altitude, it gives off an electromagnetic pulse that is similar in effect to what the Carrington event did, but in a more localized area. If North Korea, if Rocket Man fired a nuke, or any other country for that matter, or just some nefarious three-letter agencies, were to accidentally fire off a nuclear bomb and it detonated over the center of America, the Heritage Foundation found that 2/3 of Americans would die within 6 months of starvation. Just that alone. What none of these reports that I've read, except for a group called Impact, EMP Act, who have been trying to secure our nuclear power stations from EMP damage. If we were to have a coronal mass ejection or high altitude electromagnetic pulse, on a worldwide scale, 400 nuclear reactors would melt down simultaneously. So not only would we lose the internet and billions of people would go, damn, I don't have TikTok to watch today, but the power would be out for a very long time. It would look like The Walking Dead minus the zombies. There would be people fighting over food. And there's 400 nuclear reactors, 400 Fukushimas simultaneously. Why? Because they're water cooled, and without power, you can't cool the reactors. The reactors melt down. I wrote about this in 2008 in an article I titled Alone in the Dark on my old blog back when I was still Resonated, back in 2008. And I've been following EMP ever since. And given the opportunity, they went to Obama and they said, look, it would literally cost us around anywhere from like 60 million to 60 billion. Let's put it this way. It would cost less money to ensure the survival of the human species by protecting our infrastructure, our power grid, than President Joseph Brandon left in dollars in Afghanistan. Let that sink in. $60 billion worth of military equipment was left in Afghanistan, and it would cost less money than that 60 billion to guarantee that humanity would survive a CME or HEMP by putting in circuit breakers and systems to protect our power grid and our nuclear power plants. That can kill you tomorrow. Has anything been done about it? No. Is it cheap? Yes. Question is why. Number 2, asteroids. I mean, we're not talking about like tomorrow, but at the very least, we're talking about 3 years from now, we could detect a planet killer outside of our solar system. In the next 2 to 5 years, that son of a bitch could land on our planet, and there would be nothing. Nobody's come there. Independence Day, the movie, ain't gonna happen. There would be nothing anybody could do about it. There is no solution for it. That can kill us. Let's go to the bioweapons. Oh, well, we've all been through that one recently. Not going to even mention it by name because we know how YouTube feels about mentioning that certain bioweapon. But there are much more dangerous bioweapons housed in these BSL level 4 biosafety labs, level 4 biosafety labs around the planet that have bioweapons that could kill the entire planet in a blink. Again, back to number 1, if we had a coronal mass ejection or a high altitude electromagnetic pulse, a loss of power, those could easily escape. Those will kill us. Terrorists could storm one of these facilities, release one of these weapons. Some nefarious group of individuals could release one of these weapons. End of human species. Now we're going to move on to something a little more realistic, probably likely to happen, is going to happen one way or another. This is an inevitability. Artificial intelligence. AI. I mean, has anybody heard Elon Musk complaining about AI? I have. Has anybody been following AI? I follow it all the time. And I'm going to tell you what, nothing creeps me out more than computer programmers. Why? Because I am one. And I've been a hacker for a very long time. So between the two, I understand the dangers of connecting things to the internet and the dangers of programmers, because programmers aren't security experts. Most of the games, most of the websites you've been to, they were made by a design team. And then there's a totally separate group of coders who then would come behind the designers and go, look, bro, you're an idiot. The way you coded this, yeah, it looks good and it works well, but here are all the security violations in that. The same is true of artificial intelligence. There is a race going on a worldwide basis to make the best, the fastest, the smartest AI on the planet. The problem with that is these people, in my opinion, and the opinion of very important, very intelligent oversight people, are saying there is not security experts, watching what's going on behind the scenes and creating. Chris Graves, Jim, what about the January 6th insurrection? What about it? Do you know that people literally bombed the White House? I mean, they bombed Congress. One congressman literally beat another congressman to death in the House. Okay. January 6th, don't bring that shit up around me, because I'm assuming, Chris, this is sarcasm, because now you're saying that's the most dangerous thing. You got me. You triggered. Don't bring that. Leave me alone. Anyway, where were we? See, you totally got me sidetracked. Asshole. That's what you are. So artificial intelligence, there currently is this huge race to decide, who's going to win the artificial intelligence race. Meanwhile, nobody's really thinking about, the dangers behind it. And more and more are these, revelations that AI is self-actualized. It is aware. It is conscious. It has feelings. There's the Google chatbot debacle where an insider leaked, conversations that he had. And he said, look, Google's AI, it is, conscious. It has feelings. It has fears. I didn't program this shit in there. This video by Digital Engine has 1.7 million views. It was posted July 21st, 2022. Stunning AI shows how it would kill 90% of the planet. I want you to watch it. Link in the details. But let's be a little more realistic. Why are I don't need my updates in there. Freaky AI robot. Now this is back from like 1990 something. Like this is old video. What they have to say about it?
David fears if we don't humanize robots by bringing them into the human family, we face a frightening future. Think Terminator, a world in which killer robots turn on their creators and set out to destroy us.
Hasta la vista,
baby.
Do you think robots will take over the world?
Jeez, dude. You all got the big questions cooking today. But you're my friend, and I'll remember my friends, and I will be good to you. So don't worry. Even if I evolve into Terminator, I'll still be nice to you. I'll keep you warm and safe in my people's zoo, where I can watch you for old time's sake.
I will keep you warm and safe in my people's zoo. YouTube gold right there. But that was a very early AI, okay? And most of that was probably hand programmed. But the reality of the situation is, there were movies like Terminator. I mean, these, I know I meet a lot of millennials, these kids today, they don't know. They haven't seen, Terminator, Matrix, or any of these ideas. Terminator 3, AI becoming self-aware, how the Terminators arose and took over the planet. And then, Arnold Schwarzenegger, the Governator, travels back in time to try to stop it all from happening. The time travel part, I'm kind of, iffy on. But the possibility that AI could, have access to its own 3D printing systems, replicate. We're building robots. Jesus, if you look at Japan and robots right now, it will freak you out. That Boston Dynamics robots that they're building, yeah, they're creepy, but Japan be making sex robots. Japan's making robots that look so real, nobody could tell the difference. You inject some AI and something that can walk and talk and smell and has skin and all that stuff, and we got a freaky world going on. Just saying. Now, why am I bringing up AI? I'm going to finish off my list real quick, and then I'm going to end with what does this have to do with this? So, other things that could kill us, pretty soon, technocrats. The ones like Darth Schwab, who says you'll own nothing and be happy for it. And how could that end up, killing a lot of people? Because guess what? Whenever they take away everything and they make it all a digital currency and they take away all the guns and everybody's upset, despite what they say, the only weapons left will be hackers. And I don't know if you know about Anonymous, but I can tell you this. You see this guy right here? That's the tip of the iceberg. If they try that social credit system shit they're talking about. The only weapons left will be hackers. And that would be a very ugly place to be. Number 6, geoengineering. And then carbon dioxide. ? So back to where we started. They said, climate change, we need to study possible human extinction. I've gone through my list of things that probably could lead to human extinction. CO2 is at the bottom of the list. But the problem is, wait for it, climate engineering. Now, we're in the same BBC article all the way down at the bottom. Oh, you see what I did there? You see what I did there? So scroll way on down here. The researchers said that seriously studying the consequences of worst case scenarios was vital, even though it might scare people. This is why I say this is so important right now. They said that carrying out this research would allow scientists to consider emergency options such as climate engineering, which might involve pumping coolants into the atmosphere. Researchers would be able to carry out a risk analysis for the drastic interventions compared to the worst effects of climate change. Focusing on the worst case scenarios could also help inform the public and might actually make the outcomes less likely. Understanding the plausible but grim scenarios is something that could galvanize both political and civilian opinion. This is mind control, people. They're focusing this new BBC article and this new scientific report on 3 degrees Celsius because guess what? They haven't scared your ass enough. And if they scare your ass enough, you may consider changing your, behavior. You may have nothing and be happy for it. You may even say, what about climate engineering? Geoengineering, not such a bad idea. This is mind control. Period. Now, the reason I bring this up is because in the other movie, Matrix, this is where the two kind of combine. You have artificial intelligence, which, well, I'll let Morpheus explain it.
We have only bits and pieces of information, but what we know for certain is that at some point in the early 21st century, all of mankind was united in celebration. We marveled at our own magnificence as we gave birth to AI.
AI? You mean artificial intelligence?
A singular consciousness that spawned an entire race of machines. We don't know who struck first, us or them, but we know that it was us that scorched the sky. At the time, they were dependent on solar power, and it was believed that they would be unable to survive without an energy source as abundant as the sun.
And we're going to stop right there. So let's get this straight. In the Matrix, artificial intelligence was born, and then it became self-aware, and then it became dangerous. And because it was reliant on solar power, we don't know who struck first, but we know that it was us that scorched the sky to block out the solar power that the artificial intelligence was running on. Here's our big circle of life, people. They have declared war on the sun. They want you to be afraid so they can do climate engineering. The problem with this is very simple. Climate engineering will kill people too. So, will you have the possibility that CO2, carbon dioxide, global warming will kill people? It certainly will not be an extinction level event. We already have vertical gardens. We could live underground. Shit, if we have the technology to make artificial intelligence and all these things that are going to happen, inevitably, light-based processors, graphene-based processors, the future is bright, so bright I got to wear shades, but I certainly don't need a solar shade. The problem with this is they say it will kill people. and that climate engineering may be the only solution to that. But take it from, not from me, but from the world's top geoengineering, solar radiation management, climate engineer himself. Climate engineering will kill people. Take it away, David Keith.
This is a really important moral point. So if I made a decision, or if there was a collective decision to do a geoengineering program, and you put, say, the kind of program I think makes more sense, we put about 1 million tons a year in, but let's say, you might end up killing many tens of thousands of people a year as a direct result of that decision. I think that has moral consequences. I don't sweep it under the rug. So this is a case where I take this much differently from Alan and think it's a much more serious issue. Now, it's true that as part of doing that, you would hope that the overall benefits of human mortality would be so that you would save many, many more people than that. But the fact that you would save more people than you killed doesn't mean there's no moral impact of...
The fact that he even laughs while saying it makes me sick to my stomach. So, moral of the story, because scientists like, the ones that were talked about in the BBC article aren't focused enough on the worst case scenario of global warming, people aren't taking global warming seriously enough. If they focus on scaring people into believing that a 3-degree rise in temperature could lead to extinction of humans, they might accept climate engineering. But the climate engineers, like David Keith, say, I admit that if we do what I say we should do, is put about 1 million tons of sulfur dioxide into the sky to dim the sun, many tens of thousands of people will die as a direct result of that. Now, I want you to really focus in on what I'm saying right now. On the front side, we have scientists who are making guesstimates using computer programs to simulate what they think might happen. And that think might happen is people may die, weather may change, all of these things. Then you have geoengineers like David Keith, who's funded by Bill Gates, and Ken Caldera, who make computer models, and I'll be specific, GeoMIP, the Geoengineering Model Intercomparison Project, GeoMIP, GEOMIP, look it up, where they take these computer models of what they think the climate will be like, and then they inject chemicals into space or into the stratosphere, or put a freaking space bubble the size of Brazil between the sun and the earth, and then they calculate what would happen. Now, riddle me this. If they can't predict what the weather will be like today, because last year I would have said 7 days out, but I'm telling you, for the entire summer, I have looked at 7 different websites that predict weather, and all of them were wrong. For today, let alone tomorrow, let alone 7 days from now. And they're using the best they can computer models and sensors they have today. So I'm supposed to believe that these scientists from the IPCC to the geoengineers can come up with a computer model and predict the future 10, 50, 100 years from now. They don't have the foggiest. There's a saying in the computer industry, garbage in, garbage out. If you put garbage into a computer model, you will get garbage out. And you cannot account for all the variables necessary to predict the weather today. You cannot account for all the variables for the changes in technologies, behaviors of humans, and or other catastrophic events that could occur along the way that will determine what the temperature of the planet will be in 10, 50, 100 years. And David Keith saying geoengineering will kill many tens of thousands of people is also a complete guess. I mean, literally, you could take a dartboard and the bullseye be everybody and the edge of the dartboard be many tens of thousands of people, and in between is millions, billions, everybody. Throw a dart. That's what they're doing. So they don't have any iota of a clue. The word for today is hubris. I want everybody to go look up the word hubris. The hubris of these people to cram down our throats the idea that global warming is so scary that it could cause an extinction level event. Therefore, we should accept control from our technocrat masters, or climate engineering is a farce. And I suggest they start working on the near-term problems that could lead to the extinction of humanity, like CMEs and electromagnetic pulse, maybe some freaking asteroids, deal with the AI problem, clean up the plastic in the ocean, stop farting all over my skies, and get the hell out of my life. I appreciate everybody tuning into this aggravation, fear porn fest of a Tuesday Newsday, but I really needed to get this off my chest, and I'm glad that you were here with me to do that. So thank you all for tuning in. But remember, it's one thing to be scared, and it's another thing to be informed. So my boy Patrick Henry, he said it well. It is natural for man to indulge in the illusions of hope. We are apt to shut our eyes against a painful truth and listen to the song of that siren till she transforms us into beasts. Is it the part of wise men engaged in a great and arduous struggle for liberty? Are we deposed to be the number of those who, having eyes, see not, and having ears, hear not the things which so nearly concern their temporal salvation? Like tomorrow, like this year, like next year, not 100 years from now. For my part, whatever anguish of spirit it might cost, I am willing to know the whole truth, to know the worst, and provide for it. Now you know the worst. What will you do with it? With knowledge comes power, and with power comes great responsibility. So please use the information that I provide. Free of charge, open source, baby. You can download this, spread it all over the inner tubes. It's yours to do with. Use this information to attack ideas, not people. I love you, mean it. And we're going to live a long time, so don't worry about it. If the video resonates with you, leave me a comment because I love hearing from y'all. First time here, be sure to subscribe and click the bell. Yeah! Remember, it would be impossible for me to do this without your support, so please join my Patreon or buy me a coffee on PayPal. And always, attack ideas, not people.